A really cool thing is when actually twists work better nowadays. I've got two examples today. Friday the 13th and Saw. Just pretend that this is only the first Saw. It's technically the first 9 movies, but... So, Saw 1 and Friday the 13th are both... Their legacy precedes them. Everybody knows what Saw is at this point. You know, do you want to play a game? And, you know, everybody knows what, who Jason Voorhees is and what Friday the 13th is. But if you go back to those first two movies, well, the first one of each, that is, the twists work better nowadays because you know who it is. Let me explain what I'm talking about. So, in Friday the 13th, the whole movie, being super secretive with who the killer is and the identity of the killer, they're not showing their face. All you ever see is them walking out of a room, or maybe like their hand as they grab something, or the weapon they use. And that leads you to think, oh, they're being really vague, they're being really coy with this, I guess they weren't showing off Jason too much. And then, at the end of the movie, is if you don't have it spoiled for you, that is, at the end of the movie, by the way, spoilers, this random lady shows up, and is like, oh, honey, are you okay? Are you okay? And she's like, patting her and stuff like that, making her feel better. And you're like, who the fuck is this? And then she starts monologuing, And you start putting the pieces together, and she's like, I'm a friend of the Christies. And she's like, I used to have a son once. He actually went here. And then you go, oh shit, it's Jason. And then you connect the dots that it's his mom, and she goes fucking nuts. And, it's better nowadays. Because, see, back in the day, like, when it was just this movie, like, Friday the 13th just came out and hit theaters, the plot twist was really just, she's a woman. Whoop-de-doo. Sure, that was probably a really big deal at the time. But it is, and you're expecting Jason the whole time. If you don't have this spoiled for you, you go back and watch this first movie, and, yeah, it's crazy. And it's the same thing that happened with me when I watched Saw 1. Okay? So, when I watched the first Saw, I know who Jigsaw is. I know that he's an old man, and he's like, sick, or, this or that. This was all before I watched the movies. Now I know all the story, backstory now. But anyways, I knew he was like a sick old man, and he was like the do you want to play a game guy. Because cultural osmosis with, Friday the 13th, with this, there's tons of memes, references, movie quotes that get worded and stuff like that. Family Guy cutaways. I don't know if there was ever a Saw Family Guy cutaway, but there's plenty of Friday the 13th ones. But anyways, that led me to popping in that first disc and, watching the first movie. And the whole time, this guy in like his 30s is operating the traps. And I'm really confused. I'm like, who the fuck is this? This is a Jigsaw. And it legitimately had me like trying to like figure out in my brain. I was like, when did this come out again? Because maybe they just go on for a long time. And I'm thinking of the Jigsaw in the later movies after he's aged. No. At the end, when the trap is... completely finished, and everything's done, and everything's this, and you see this random old guy who is dead the whole movie stand up and get out of the blood, and I can't remember what he says, but it's like, that's just how it is, or blah blah blah, or something like that. It blew my mind. And usually, I don't like twists, I don't like plot twist endings, but these are the two that are the exception. Because in both of them, actually, Friday the 13th, the twist is just, it's a woman. And then in Saw, the first Saw, the twist is just, it was the dead guy the whole time. And they both just worked for me for some reason. And I really love that. I really think that's super cool. And I just wanted to share it with you guys. And do you guys have any other examples of this? I know it's kind of like hard to, talk about it but not spoil things, but try not to spoil things in the comments, but let me know if you guys have any examples of this type of thing happening. And yeah, I'd be really interested in that because sometimes the twist is better when there's 10 movies with an 11th on the way, or 12 movies. But anyways, I've been Scavenger Reviews. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think. And if you guys have any examples, drop them down in the comments. I would love to hear them. Anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.